Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend, colleague, relative, associate, enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Bit different this week. First time it's being done live. I did record it yesterday. However, I forgot to turn the microphone on the on the wireless mic. Therefore, 40 minutes of talking, nothing picked up. So I had things to do, and rather than re-record the video and put it out, I decided, well, rather than do the casual stream, as I've only got half an hour before the football starts, I might as well just go all in and talk about it, give my thoughts on the weekend, unfiltered, uninterrupted. And if I get through it in enough time, I'll take a look at any comments that do come in to the show. But thank you very much if you are watching live. And if you're not, feel free to watch on playback. It's much appreciated either way. First things first. So we're going to do this in the chronological order. And we're going to talk about Friday with, unfortunately, what was probably pound for pound the worst night of boxing we've seen up at any world level. I think I've got to call it that. I remember you had 5 fights on the card. Bear in mind, it's a pay-per-view card, 3 main events, quote unquote, and then 2 also ran fights, if that's what you want to call it. But the firefighter versus the policeman was probably the best fight on the card, and it was a 3 round. It was a 3 round contest, basically an amateur bout. Yeah, look, you go through that. Then you had, who was it, Ryo Satsumi making his pro debut. So I'm assuming Turkey Al Sheikh must be having some kind of deal with either him or his team, or maybe he's one of the ones that he's looking at for future. Not sure, but yeah, look, with that kind of being said, all I can really say is that yeah, it wasn't really great, was it? If we're gonna keep it all the way real, keep it all the way honest. Just before I carry on, I just need to check something, guys. Bear with me for 1 second. Need to make sure that this is actually coming through. Alright, go to the channel. Okay, cool. Yeah, it is. That's fine. Right. So, look, let's talk about Teofimo and Arnold Barbosa first of all. Now, I don't think it's been any secret. I've said it from what, about 2021, 2022 onwards regarding Arnold Barbosa. Really and truly, I just believe he sucks. I don't think he's a good fighter at all. I've always maintained that, and it's always been surprising to me how we managed to win so many fights, if I'm gonna be real. Now, the Sean McComb fight aside, which was, one of the biggest robberies that we've seen in modern days, he had all of these performances that were just extremely bad, but he just happened to be either that little bit better than the person he was fighting, or he managed to just make them that little bit worse. Like the Jose Ramirez fight, I mean, that should have probably told me from the start that Jose Ramirez isn't what he used to be. Hasn't got the legs anymore, hasn't got the variety, hasn't got the punch output. There's just nothing there for him. But then, we had the Jack Catterall fight. Now, we can question to what level we really believe Jack Catterall to be. But that was a fight that Jack was set up to win and win quite comfortably. And for some reason, again, Arnold made someone fight down to his level and then beat them with experience. It, that was just a horrid fight to watch, but Arnold somehow got the decision. This time, unfortunately, as much as I've said that Tio sucks, like I've now come to the conclusion that Teofimo Lopez is just a chaos merchant. Like he has to be in a state of panic or a state of disarray in order to get the best out of him. Now, prior to the fight, I actually said that Tio has got all of the athletic and the, I guess, the technical styles over Arnold, but Arnold just happens to have the physical attributes and the kind of style that Tio doesn't like. Someone that can hang back, make Tio have to walk in, have to force the action, and then ultimately, stop the show. But in this one, I mean, that's not what happened. Arnold decided to go on the front foot. And as he was going on the front foot, Tio is able to do more what he loves to do, which is to stick on the back foot and counter. That's exactly what he did. I scored it 116, 112, the same as two of the judges did. I agree with those scorecards. It was a barely competitive match in the classical sense, but it was, it was just Tio doing just enough. Sometimes it was probably sometimes it was the difference of just landing one punch more than Arnold did in a sequence. And I'm sure there was also times that Tio was being credited for shots that weren't actually landing or hitting on scoring parts of the body. Because when I looked at the CompuBox numbers, that wasn't the same amount of strikes that I saw in the fight. But with that being said, look, he went and he got the job done. So some people, when they say, "Oh, they fight down to the level of their opponent, or they can only get off a certain fights," I've always looked at it as kind of an unprofessional element and a bit of a cop out. But having seen Tio, I guess in his maybe what we might call his three biggest nights, or his three nights where he's definitely looked at as the underdog in all of them, he seemed to come out on top. So maybe he has to have that underdog mentality, that all me against the world mentality in order to get the best out of him. And when he's just supposed to win is when he mentally checks out. Who knows? But look, it wasn't a great performance. It just happened to be a much better performance than Barbosa. But yeah, Barbosa sucks. If I'm honest, I'm glad he's finally lost to O. I would have preferred if he had beat Tio and then lost it to the next person, because I feel like Barbosa will at least fight people. I think Tio is doing a lot of politicking and whatnot, but at this point, he's got the belt, he's got the lineal status, he's got the ring status, so he's gonna do what he's gonna do until either someone beats him or he moves up. But congratulations to him anyway. I can't really take away from him, just doing enough. Then we've got Haney and Ramirez. Now, you guys will know on this channel, I've always been an advocate for Devin Haney. I always felt he used to get a lot of unfair criticism against him. And that's not something that necessarily made me rally towards him more. But I used to think, no, he's actually a lot better than he's being given credit for. At least he's gone out and he's tried to make fights, whereas other people haven't. So I've always given him that benefit of the doubt. And for the most part, I've enjoyed the majority of his fights. The one on Friday is not in that bracket, unfortunately. It was an awful fight. It has to be his worst performance that I've seen from Devin Haney. Um, Jose Ramirez didn't make the fight any better. Um, but considering the fact that Devin had such a slow-footed plodder in front of him that was also afraid to let their hands go unless they was properly on top of that person, on top of him, pause, and just had it just. Hey, what happened there? Why is my screen just disappeared? Apologies for that, people. I have no idea what happened there, and now it looks like my connection's gone a bit funny. But all right, look, I'll carry on, and hopefully it will sync up when it needs to sync up again. Where was I talking about? Yeah, Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez. Like neither person did themselves justice in that fight. Um, Jose wasn't able to make a fight of it, but even with all of that playing in Devin Haney's favor, he still looked awful. Like the incessant moving is not something that I've really associated with him. Previously, you can tell that even though Jose Ramirez isn't a necessarily big puncher like that, he's not like a one punch KO artist kind of thing. Devin was just shit. He was just totally afraid to potentially even take a shot on the gloves. Now, look, we all know boxing is hit and not get hit, but to not be in a position where you are prepared to, let it all hang out and at least go for the gusto or to, enact and properly stamp your authority on the bout was a bit criminal. But with me saying all of that, I could really go in, but I'm gonna give Devin Haney like a small bit of consideration. So ultimately, what I want to do is I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt for now until his next fight. I want to see how he looks in the next fight. If in that next fight he looks much better, much more improved than this one, then I will chalk this one up to, having to battle those demons that I'm sure must have been building up over the last 12 months. I'm sure all of the drama and everything that's sort of gone on couldn't have been easy. So I will concede that for the time being. But he is on borrowed time with me in that sense. As much as I have been an advocate and I am I won't say a fan, but I am a supporter of Devin Haney and his attempt to be great up until a certain point. It seems as once he had the Lomachenko fight, everything after that has started to take a little bit of a turn. So I'm not off the train if that's what people are gonna say, but there is the fraud watch, the binoculars are out, and I'm gonna reserve judgment till the next fight. In terms of Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, now I've said again from years ago that Ryan Garcia sucks. Him not challenging for a world title at any point in his career tells me that he knows he's not ready for those levels. He's also a guy that's consistently tried to jump the gun to the biggest fights, probably because he knows that he's not long for. Probably just to say that he's not. He knows that the level of building and consistency it will take for him to get to that top level, he ain't got the patience for it. He's not disciplined enough for it, and luck just because he managed to get this, this internet fame and notoriety on the socials, he's basically jumped a few steps from basically a ranked prospect to a world star. And we're not even talking about world class in terms of his boxing, just a world star in terms of his notoriety. And to a degree, look, he's parlayed that into some good money, so I will respect him for that. But in terms of him, like apart from that left hook, which yes is lightning quick and he talks it out quite nicely. Outside of that, there's nothing else there. And it's evident where somebody like Rolly Romero, who has barely mastered the basic fundamentals of boxing, let alone anything else, was able to nullify Ryan Garcia all night just by keeping his right hand glued to the side of his face. That's all he had to do. and Ryan had no answer, no way to adjust. Ryan gets knocked down in the second round, and all of a sudden, he don't want to fight no more. So that tells me two things. And this is outside of any potential ped use, which we're going to talk about momentarily. But what that tells me is just like in the Tank Davis fight, he quit. Ryan Garcia quit. Because if you look at, for instance, Inoue, which we will talk about in a little bit, he got knocked down and he came straight back out trying to work. Ryan, when he came out aggressive against Tank Davis, he was doing, he went aggressive, got knocked down. All of a sudden, he jumped in his holster a little bit. Then when he found the first possible moment he could, he decided that he had had enough. In this one, he wasn't about to let Rolly knock him out, but he mentally checked out and said, all right, I'm not taking any chances. I want to see the final bell here. And that's the agreement he made. Therefore, he quit any intention of actually trying to win the fight. And I'm going to say that. It goes to show his character. It goes to show the type of person he is. And whether he is another person that is a chaos merchant, someone that needs that, all of us, needs that necessary, either that chaos or the substances or just stuff to be going wrong in his life to give him that rage, to make him sharper, make him switch on. He might be that kind of person. Possibly. We don't know. But what I do know is you can't tell me that the Ryan who gave an arguably career best performance against Devin Haney, because his two best performances are probably Luke Campbell and Devin Haney, and in the Luke Campbell one, he got sat on his back pocket early in the fight. The Devin Haney one, remember, Devin gave him that brutal left hook in the third, and Ryan just ate the left hook. Bit of that same left hook, you get put down again by Rolly in this one. It's the same. It's just ultimately it's the same shot, pretty much, that Tank gave you as well. So the one time that you're on the substances, supposedly, is the one time you can stand up to the left hook and not go down. It's the one time that you have the career best performance, being as sharp as you've ever been, throwing combinations like you've never thrown before. Yeah, might be having to take rounds off in between spurts, but razor sharp, razor wired for the entire time. But we're now supposed to believe that the Osterin had nothing to do with it, or whatever else potentially was in that cocktail. I'm sorry, we can't look at Ryan Garcia on the weekend and then look at Ryan Garcia last year and then believe that he wasn't on PEDs or some form, even if they didn't give him the physical benefits. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, that much Osterin in your system ain't going to give you no real benefits like that. Okay, but maybe it gives you a mental benefit. Maybe the placebo effect, it makes you believe that, oh, I can push harder because I know that I've got that little bit extra help. The mind is a very sharper, very dangerous, but also a very special tool. And if you trick it, which possibly he could have done by having those substances in his system, then that's what happens. He maybe tricked his mind into believing that he was super juice in that fight. And for the whole, there was a weird crowd. I could hear everything. I couldn't lock in. I mean, well, neither could Rolly Romero, but he still did enough to win. As bad as the fight was, Devin Haney did enough to win, even though he probably felt the same. Oh, there's no atmosphere here. There's nothing really for me to do. Teofimo was able to lock in with such a weird and strange atmosphere that he hasn't been involved in. Like, so why do you get to have an excuse? I'm sorry, you don't. Like, we know what we've seen now. We know who you are, and we know that chances are, I don't really feel like there's any real coming back from this for Ryan Garcia. Whether he has a rematch or whatever, the notoriety, the fame, everything that he had, the people that he had twerking for him all last year, trying to make excuses for him, I ain't heard one of them come back out since. Which tells you now even they know that they got duped and they feel stupid. And I'm glad they feel stupid. But yeah, look, Rolly, again, he's not a good boxer. But I will give him credit because at least he went with a trainer and he listened to the trainer and he listened to the advice. He was given instructions and he followed those instructions to the T. And all of that was just primarily keep this hand glued here, take away the jab with the lead hand, and be erratic with your movements, stepping in, and Ryan won't know what to do. And that's exactly what happened. So as for what he does next, I don't know, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. The funniest thing about this is though, Tank Davis's best win is now looking shady because his best victory literally just got beat by someone that a lot of people would consider his worst, especially in this recent run of form. So I don't know what to really say about that one if I'm gonna be real. I mean, yeah, it's funny, but with that being said, look, move on to the to the card that took place in Saudi Riyadh season. No, sorry, not Riyadh season, just Riyadh. But it's a Ring Magazine card. Um, Martin Bakoli, FA Jagbar. Long story short, my prediction. So I did predict that in the sort of seventh to eighth round, Bacoli would get a stoppage because I felt that a Jagbar would not necessarily check out, but he might, if he starts to slow down at that point and he hasn't done enough damage to Bacoli, which I didn't think he would do. I felt like he would get into a point where he would maybe get trapped, have to, open up to try and fight off and either get sort of stopped by the ref or, get knocked down and then get waved off. But I won't say prove me wrong because the way he boxed is how I predicted he would box. I just thought Bacoli would do a little better. Now we've got to talk about two things. First off, the movement by a Jagbar was perfect. The outside jabbing and the shooting the right hand from the outside and basically being able to see everything that Bacoli did, including that god awful double jab that he was trying to do to get into range, on those slow ass feet. Ajagba did everything he needed to do. But I agree with the scorecards because when I was scoring it live on the night, I scored it 95-95. And I gave Ajagba round one, I gave Bacoli round two, I gave Ajagba round three, I gave Bacoli round four, I gave Ajagba rounds 5 and 6. I gave Bacoli round 7, I gave Bacoli round 8, I gave Ajagba round 9, and then I gave Bacoli round 10. But within that, rounds 7 and rounds 10 weren't like Bacoli winning those rounds. I felt like Ajagba gave him those rounds. The seventh round, I believe he gave him by just basically laying on the ropes and trying to, you know, basically just trying to catch a breather and sort of fight back off the ropes, but he just wasn't being effective enough and was just allowing Bacoli to outwork him and not make him move, not make him have to shift the lard around the ring. And then in the 10th round, ultimately, I feel like he gave that one up by just circling the ring, not really engaging, barely throwing anything, trying to jump into clinches, but not, before employing any lead hands or jabs. So I feel like had he have done better in those 2 rounds, which were 2 rounds that he had the capability of winning, or at least looking competitive in to maybe have it given his way, he would have got a unanimous decision on all 3 cards, in my opinion. But yeah, it was a good showing from a Jagbar. I would like to, funny enough, just because of the whole, the Nigerian thing and him claiming that AJ is not a real Nigerian. I would like to see that fight take place. Maybe it could be a comeback fight for Anthony Joshua after this surgery if the Tyson Fury fight isn't available. Um, as for Martin Bakoli, well, we now know that there is no boogeyman there. He might be the undisputed heavyweight champion of sparring, but outside of that, when it comes to the real game, he ain't got it. And we kind of knew he never had it from before when he even let the cat slip out of the bag after the Jared Anderson fight. He said he tried to fight me. That was a mistake. He should have tried to box me, and he would have had more success if he had tried to box me. But he tried to fight me, so I knock him out. That goes to show, that tells you exactly what his game plan is, what his mindset is. He's not going to try and move with you, and if you are able to move, then ultimately he has trouble. Hence why he probably couldn't stop Tony Yoka, because Tony Yoka, he didn't run, but he had good enough movement where he could get away from the onslaught and the barrages. Obviously, you stand right in front of Martin Bakoli, you're going to give him a very good chance to take you out. But you stay on the peripheries, you work around him a little bit, you try and keep him on the edge of range, and if you've got the longer reach, then you've got every single tool in the arsenal to beat him. So yeah, and him coming in at £299, I mean, I've heard Ade say it a couple times recently, and I've got to echo the sentiments. Like, how do you go into a training camp after 3 months? Basically, you have that opportunity. 3 months since your previous fight, two and a half, 3 months. You can't spar for like the first month and a half based on protocols. But guess what you got to do? You can get in shape. You can go for your 2 or 3 runs a day, or your explosive training in the in the gym. You can do all of your fast twitch, or all your calisthenics, whatever it takes. Like, all you do 2 or 3 sessions in the gym, just without sparring, including your boxing stuff, which is supposed to make you drop weight as well, and then you just consume less calories, or you consume less of the dense calories that you may be eating. And ultimately, I know for a fact you should have been able to at least drop 20 pounds, 25 pounds realistically, based on your size. Like, you're just getting rid of fat. It's not like, oh, you're stripping down towards muscle, you're just burning fat. It's very easy for you to be able to drop that level of weight in a short space of time, because for your actual body frame, it's not a huge amount off. But you couldn't do that. Like, losing 11 pounds in 3 months as a professional athlete when it's your job. Yeah, sorry, that's crazy. Um, I don't really feel like he deserves any opportunities again moving forward until he proves himself. But I believe he's going to be given another opportunity by Turkey, probably just for saving that card previously. And I'll say it now the same as I said it before. No one can tell me that his trainer, yes, I know that he's not with him 24/7, but Billy Nelson has to be complicit in the behavior of Martin Bakoli, because there's no way that, as the trainer, as a guy that basically, this is your number one charge, this is the guy that you're campaigning to say is the guy he's gonna take over, that you allow him to do all of that foolishness outside of training camp. It boggles the mind that you would allow him and let him get into that state. And if that's the case, you call him and you say, come back to training camp early. We got to do pre-camp before we do the proper camp. Like, you need to get this weight off, because this weight is not going to help you. And we've seen it now. Even in the Anderson fight, it's only because Anderson literally stood right in front of him and tried to out tough him, but he was having problems like with his movement in that fight as well. And he was lighter. He was 284 in that fight. So yeah, as much as I think he's a fun fighter to watch, and I'd like to see him fight again, but I don't think he deserves these Riyadh card opportunities. Um, He's got to go back outside. Basically, he's got to go and earn his craft again, as far as I'm concerned, because he's had a couple opportunities now, and okay, you give him a pass for the Parker one, but ultimately that just showed stupidity to take that fight in the first place. And now on your biggest night, really, even though you lost your eliminator, you could have got yourself right back into like a final eliminator status had you won this fight, and you don't even turn up in shape. Like, so you don't take it serious. If you don't take it serious, they shouldn't pay you. It's my thoughts on it. Anyway, from there we had Jaime Munguia and Bruno Soros. Now I'm not even going to talk too much about this one because it pretty much played out exactly as I thought it would. The first fight was exactly a carbon copy of this fight. The only difference is Jaime Munguia went in reckless with his hands down and got caught with probably the best punch that Bruno Soros has ever thrown in his entire boxing career, and it just took Jaime out. But this one, Jaime went back to exactly what he did the last time. The only difference being that he was able to stay defensive and stay switched on for the entire round, knowing, okay, this guy, he can hurt me. I've seen him hurt me. So it made sense that that's what he was, that how he was going to move in that particular instance. So not really much to say. So Ross put up a he put up a good effort. He was game. He was tough. He never wilted. He never just tried to survive. He actually tried to win the fight, which is commendable. He did say he's thinking about going back down to 160. He feels like the guys at 168 are a bit too big for him, and I don't blame him because you can even see from his physique, like at the weigh-ins, there's definitely some extra pounds that can get stripped off of his body. So I'd like to see him back down at 160. I think he could actually do some good work down there if he really wants to. Um, and he's a fun fighter. 5 knockouts or not, he actually comes to fight. He comes to brawl. He comes to bang, and I'm here for it. So shout out to him and shout out to Jaime Munguia for just righting that wrong and getting it back. Then we had Badu Jack and Noel Gavor. Now, if you guys would have seen on Fight Talk Live, um, both Maestro and Danny Glover were vehemently in Noel's corner, saying that he won that fight and that Badu Jack got gifted a decision, etc. To be honest, they're the only two people that I've heard say that. I've actually obviously listened to a few others before, and bear in mind I'd given my takes yesterday, and I'd watched some stuff after that. But the same with me, the same as I believe as everyone else that I've sort of seen. Ultimately, Gavor did well in the first half, but we always know that Badu Jack is a notoriously slow starter. But from round sort of 4, 5, 6, those sort of rounds onwards, it was just all Badu Jack. On the inside, he was breaking up Noel Gavor. He was catching him with left hooks. He was catching him with right hooks. Like Gavor felt like he looked like he felt sorry for himself numerous times, looking towards the referee. Sometimes, being hunched over, bundled over, like he's trying to get a break. Trying to get the ref to part them. Just basically, it looked like he was looking for help from about around 6, 7 onwards. And while I understand that there was times he was doing little shoe shine combinations, I just don't think that you throwing 6 or 7 shoe shine punches that are just about touching the target, as opposed to the other guy that's then thrown a big left hook and then a big shot to the body that's like folded you or wobbled you backwards a little bit. Unfortunately, they get the consideration because their shots are more effective than yours were. Point scoring, yes, it can work, but this to me just wasn't one of them. So I kind of scored it 7-5 to Badu Jack, but I predicted it would be a majority decision win beforehand on both basis picks and in my predictions group, and that was one that I did get bang on. So, not always a bit happy with myself with that. And shout out to Badu Jack, and it's actually good that he won. Even if you would say it's a little bit political, if some people believe that, but if him with the belt, at least we know that he'll fight people. We know that he'll fight Jai. We know he'll fight Zerdo, and there don't have to be no issues around contracts or this promoter, that promoter, Don King getting involved, possibly messing stuff up. We ain't got to worry about none of that. So we'll wait and see what kind of happens after June 8th with, the Jairo Patai's next fight. Zerdo's on the Dorticus. He's fighting Dorticus in July. So, yeah, I guess we can kind of wait and see how all of that sort of plays out. But yeah, look, main event of that card, Canelo versus School. Um, if I'm gonna be real, both of them were as bad as each other, but just for different reasons. Like Canelo probably, I think that Canelo from about round two onwards, when he realized what was gonna happen, just decided, I'm just gonna go through the motions. I'm gonna hope that I catch you, just one shot, just to maybe uh, bother you a little bit, and then maybe we can get to work. But other than that, okay, you're moving. I ain't got time for this. It's funny on my watch along. I was even saying like I don't understand why you don't just if I was Canelo, I would just not turn my back, but I just walk back into the corner, put my hands on the ropes, and say, "All right, come, just if you're gonna like." You gonna stay over on that side of the ring? I'm gonna stay over on this side of the ring. Let's see which one of us moves first. I would have done that. Because then the referee would have made them had to engage, and or School would have had to have come forward. And it got to points in the fight where I was literally saying to Canelo that when you obviously I'm saying it not directly to him, but I'm like, you're that close to him at this point in time. Hit him low, like hit him like grab him, hit him in the side of his hip, like literally hit him on his hip bone, like if anything, like, and hit him constantly, and even to the point you get a point taken off if that's the case. But keep hitting him like in areas that are illegal, that will slow him down. You give him a big left hook to that hip bone, um, I guarantee you the movement will stop a little bit. You catch him low one time, like the movement's gonna stop a little bit. Like, and I'm not normally a proponent of dirty boxing like that, but you got a guy that ain't coming to engage. You got to do something to try and even if it's to make School angry, to say, oh, okay, that's what you want to do. All right, cool. You know what? Forget all this boxing. Let's go. Do that. That's what I would have done in that situation. But yeah, look, it's. I don't know if I'm like. Look, I do think Canelo is obviously slowed down compared to where he was. I don't think he's quicker. I mean, I don't think he's as quick as he was, but I don't think he's also as slow as maybe people are believing him to be also. I just think he was disinterested, if you want me to be honest. And his disinterest, along with William School's non-committal, just made for a boring ass main event. And it's a fight realistically where if you've seen School fight before, when he gets hit, you can always see that he's like his whole construct like messes up to the point where he has to then reset. And for the people saying that Canelo wasn't cutting off the ring or he don't know how to cut, he actually cut off the ring multiple times in that fight. The reason and School was having to reset constantly because Canelo was cutting off his entry points. It's just the fact that because he was so quick and was able to change directions and jump out of range, and he had that little burst of quick twitch fibers in the legs to move from side to side, or especially when one of the big Canelo swings was coming, like it just made it look like Canelo was just following him around, but that wasn't the case. Um, but look, some people were saying that School won the fight. I mean, I don't know what fight they were watching, but I'm also, I haven't watched it back. I have no desire to watch the fight back, but maybe if I did, I might look at it and say, oh, okay, maybe I can see why you might think that. But I don't think, number one, I might have the patience to do so, but based on what I saw on the night, and yes, I might have been a little bit tired on the stream as you guys would have saw, but I'm pretty sure that what I saw was correct. Like Canelo pretty much dominated the middle of the ring. He landed all of the power punches really. School landed maybe what, 4 power punch. It felt like he landed maybe 4 power punches the whole fight. That's what it felt like, and a few jabs here and there. Whereas obviously Canelo didn't exactly land a plethora of power punches, but they looked like they did more damage because every time he threw one, School's looking at the referee trying to get saved. But yeah, look, let's sort of ignore that now. It happened, but now we know that we've got Canelo and Crawford. Now, this one is going to be a lot more interesting because yes, Crawford can move. He's got very good footwork. He's got very good movement, but he's not a mover like that. He will stay in the pocket with you. He will get in the pocket and get active before he tries to get back out again. But there's intrigue because yes, Canelo might have slowed down considerable amount, but he's used to taking the big shots. He's gonna come forward. He's gonna do what he always does. We don't know what Crawford's gonna look like coming off of this 1 year layoff, considering he's now 38. Um, and we all know that it only takes literally a day when you start getting into your early to mid 30s for everything to change overnight. And the ring rust that potentially could be there, as much as he stays active and keeps his body in shape and everything, it all could play a factor. So there's so much intrigue on both sides. This is one of those fights that even if it fails to live up to our unrealistic expectations, I don't think it can actually fail to just deliver in totality. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, quickly moving on to the Noya Inoue card. I haven't been able to see it. I was initially supposed to do a watch along for it and everything, but I literally fell asleep about 12:30 that night, and that actually annoyed me because I fell asleep. I had a accumulator bet on. It was for like £450, and all my teams had actually come in except I had one team left, and I was sitting on like 225 cash out. All I needed was the last team to win, and then I would have got like 450, or I would have at least got like 380 if they went 2 goals up and then drew the fight, drew the match. But I fell asleep. I woke up. As soon as I woke up, I turned on the TV. I was literally watching Inoue's post-fight interview in the ring. So I literally I woke up like 2 minutes after the fight had finished, 5 minutes, checked my phone, no bets. I go and I look, and the team that was a dead set to win got beat 2-1. So I couldn't even cash out. So yeah, lost that entire. It just ended up not being a great Sunday night. But I haven't seen the whole fight, but Rafael Espinoza versus Vasquez, what was his name? Miguel Vasquez. That fight, from what I saw of the highlights, looked fun. So I need to go and watch the full fight of that. I've now seen the full fight between Inoue and Cardenas, and Inoue got dropped with the same left hook that he got dropped with against Luis Nery. But in both times, when he got dropped with that same shot, he came back. And not only did he come back, he made sure that he adjusted to not get hit with that same shot again. That's one good thing about Inoue. He will, he can get hit, he can take shots, but when he does, his level of adjustment, his ability to sort of make exchanges and adjustments on the fly, to sort of then negate what you've been doing well, is quite impressive. And he didn't fight scary after that either. He still came out throwing, sort of throwing shots, getting active, like trying to basically get his lick back. And Cardenas just basically at that point, from like the third round on, just felt like it's almost like he felt like he was succumbing to the pressure. And now it was just a case of, you know what, I'm just gonna try and hope for one counter shot and see if that does it. It's all he's just basically just waiting for one shot rather than actually trying to win the rounds. And by that token, this ends up getting systematically beat up and broken down by Inoue. And it was a really, really good a good showing. And it gave us a little bit of jeopardy that we needed. It gave us the adversity. It obviously showed us again that he has got not only got a very good chin, but very good powers of recovery and intelligence. Because every time he has been hurt or been down, he always makes sure that the referee has absolutely no inkling that he's not comfortable or that he's not well, and then he always readjusts to make sure that he doesn't get caught with those similar shots. Same as when he got his orbital bone broken by Nonito Donaire. He never got hit with the same shots again that broke the bone. So he's very good at making those adjustments. And, at this point, I do have to have him as number two on my pound for pound just for the activity. I'm not saying he's fighting the total killers of his division just yet, but undisputed, taking on all his mandatories, fighting 4 or 5 times a year in some instances, or 3 to 4 times a year, but being active, you know, there's not really much reason for him not to be that number two for the time being anyway. I'm under no illusions that he will in fact get beat at some point, and probably a lot sooner than we think. It may not be MJ Medaliev, but he's got a very good chance. If and when Inoue moves up to 126, he will take a loss up there to somebody. It may not be the current champs, but it could be Rafael Espinoza. That's a viable danger. I don't really think Nick Ball is that much of a problem, if I'm gonna be honest. Angelo Leo, I don't think would be the one. So to me, it's Rafael Espinoza as the main protagonist in that situation that would cause the damage. Obviously, we know Stephen Fulton. Even if he goes back in there again, we kind of, I feel like the same thing's gonna happen again with him. So yeah, look, that's pretty much a lot of the weekend that I paid attention to. Like I said, I didn't see much of that. I want to go back and watch some of that. And I wanted to keep this one short specifically because I do know the football's on, and I actually do kind of want to watch a little bit of Barcelona Inter Milan. So I'm going to jump off in a moment, but I do want to respect the chat. I have seen some comments coming in, and I'm just going to read out a few of them. I won't respond or give answers, but I'll read them out at least. Okay, so wish I could be with this live, but unfortunately I'm busy right now, so I'm gonna watch this back later. Big up base in chat. Unfortunately, the lower one's got to sit this one out. Appreciate you, Phil. Shout out to North Bank Bren, and thank you very much for the super chat on the Ring Riyadh card. It made staying up that late worth it. I did shout you out also when I did this, on the muted version that never went out. But yeah, you're appreciated. Shout out to Christopher Anthony as well. James, salute to you. Yasmin Malik in the building. Salute to Yasmin as always. Watching on the playback. Big up to Jack Knight with the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Evening Base. What a vicarious weekend of boxing. Yep. Or is that vicocious? I'm not sure which word you was intending on saying, but it's one or the other. Shout out to man like Ra Holcomb. Don Gorgon 78. I was quite impressed with a Jagba's chin. Yay, you weren't gonna go out like no bitch. That's for a fact. Jack Knight, a Jagba's feet impressed me. Raw. Even a turkey hater like me didn't think the NYC event idea was that bad. Big mistake was not making it just free and open to the public. Yeah, but the only way I think that would have worked is if they did it somewhere like Coney Island and just blocked off the entire island and just let people in that way. The late great Eddie Futch stopped working with Bo after he repeatedly blew up in weight. Yeah. Shout out to Emma. It's always a pleasure when Emma's in the building. Billy is an awful trainer. Oh, she didn't even say hello. She just came straight with the hits. But Coley needs turkeys since Shalom has never gotten him a fight on his cards. It's very true. Star Fox WR45E, shout out to you as well. Shame you missed the only watch along worth watch alonging. I reckon Zerdo gets Jack. Golden Boy Promotions will want to try and wait Jai out, and Jack's a former 168 like Zerdo. Interesting. Stevan Grubb, shout out to you. Appreciate you for being here. Veritas Adastra in the building. As always, salute to you as well. These four kings are absolute shite. Well, I mean, look, to be fair, they didn't crown themselves that, so I'm not going to hold that name against them. Canelo been fighting the same exact fight for about 5 years now. Those feet have slowed down. Crawford is a live dog. Skyline, the editor, salute. Shalom has no clue how to navigate Bacoli's career, and Bacoli eating everything in sight and training only for social media. You might be right. Jack, I can't see Canelo beating Bud, not gonna lie. It's interesting. I could see that being a wide decision, as mad as that is to say. I mean, I don't think it's mad, but I hear you. It'd be a tough ask. Raw, I agree, Jack Knight. I see Bud giving Canelo flashbacks to his Mayweather nightmare. Interesting. Oh, shout out to Aaron Daly. Says, I honestly think MJ cleans him out in September. I mean, that could be the banana skin. I think MJ will be his Tava. Ooh, okay. Shout out to Zandy X. Appreciate you. I know that you wanted to see the weekend wrap, so I'm glad that you did get it in the end. Raw Holcomb knows what it is. I mean, all right, guys, that'll be interesting. Okay, a few more, then we're out. I had this convo with someone today. Floyd gave Canelo a lesson when Canelo was on his way to his prime. Now he's on the slide. I think Bud will beat him in the same manner. Cool. Zandy XC, that's why I keep checking. I didn't even get a notification. Oh wow, I don't know why that didn't happen. Oh, vacuous. Okay, like a vacuum. Okay, I just mean the weekend was a letdown. Alright, I hear you. See you people, take care, base and chat. Yeah, no, salute to you. Thank you very much for being here, Jack. It's always appreciated. Veritas, I'll be more careful for which American fighter I'm going to stay up for to watch. I hear that. Okay, look, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being in attendance. It's appreciated. More videos throughout the week. I'm going to have to do proper videos, though, because there's a lot of football on that I have to watch. So the lives might have to be halted until Saturday. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the football, which I'm about to do. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next video. Until then, peace.